which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Second public comment today?
No.
Commissioner Lyons?
Here.
Vice Mayor Stanley?
Here.
Commissioner Orthwein? Here. Mayor Morgan?
Here.
Town Manager Dunham?
Here.
Staff Attorney Nazara? Let the record show that absent with notice are Commissioner White and Town Attorney Randolph, and also present is the Chief of Police, Allen, and myself.
Thank you very much. We've had an opportunity to review the minutes from our last meeting on July 13th. Are there any comments or corrections, additions, changes?
We don't have one observation. I was absent without notice or without anything because I'm not on the sheet anymore.
Well, you're on this one.
With the one in the minutes?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll be glad to make that correction.
With notice too. Give them credit. If there are no other corrections, is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Ms. Taylor?
Commissioner Lyons?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stanley?
Yes.
Commissioner Orthwein?
Yes.
Mayor Morgan?
Yes. I don't believe we have any changes to the agenda. Is that correct, Rita?
Correct.
Yes. Okay. Our next meeting is September 14th at 4 p.m. It will be followed by the first budget meeting at 5:01 p.m. That's September 14th. Any comments from the public?
I was hiding back there.
Hello.
Good morning, Christina Hassett. I've got on my Florida League of Cities hat this morning. I wanted to remind you guys, for the first time ever, we're going to have a District 4 luncheon, and the luncheons are put together for commissioners and town managers, and ours is from Boca, Highland Beach, Briny, Ocean Ridge, and Gulfstream. And so it's the first time they're trying it in our district. All other districts have had lunches happily for years. I don't know why we haven't. So it is next Wednesday, this upcoming Wednesday, the 15th. It is $20, and it is going to be at the Delray Beach Golf Club.
Yes.
The golf club, which is, I believe, just west of 95 on Atlantic. So, and today's the last day to RSVP, so I'd like to encourage you to come. It is, I always get something out of the league meetings, if not just pure entertainment, but it's always good to kind of hear what other towns are doing, and, you know, we all have the same issues, so it's a nice cross-pollination. So,
Thank you very much. Anyone else wish to speak? If not, let's move on to the public hearing. Any ex parte communications by members of the commission with anything being brought before us today?
None.
None? If not, anyone who's going to speak today on an issue to the commission, please rise and be sworn.
You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
All right, our first application is Mr. Coopey.
Thank you. Mr. Coopey, the architect representing Mr. and Mrs. Michael and Michelle Canizaro. They bought the property 3112 Gulfstream Road, which is people refer to as the cat lady house. Used to be the corner. We meet all the requirements, FAR setbacks. We've actually exceeded some of the setbacks and things like that. I'm going to run through it very quickly. I'm here with Dave Bodker, the landscape architect on the project as well. And I'll quickly run through it if you'd like, and answer any questions you may have.
Please.
The project, as you know, is on the corner of Gulfstream Road and Middle Road. We have an alley on the west side of the property. The house, the existing house, is a single-story house that sits, I'm gonna jump to the back. Sits on this portion of the property. That's going to be demolished. The Calusi heads we're going to relocate, and I'll let Dave talk about that. The house is 4,477 square feet under roof, which is allowed.
No, it doesn't appear that it's turned on.
It's on. Hello? Is that better?
Yes.
Sorry about that. The main house, the portion of the main house, this is how it sits on the lot. We meet all the setbacks from the street. We actually exceed the first floor setback from the adjoining house, which is to the north of this property. Garage is, since it's a small lot, is allowed to have the garage doors facing the street, but it's a small street and we have the landscaping set up so that you'll be past it before you even see it. So, the second story, you can see that it's well within the bound, the LDRs and the boundaries of the setbacks. It's a very small second story, only has 3 bedrooms. The floor plan, entrance on Gulfstream Road, the powder room, a small study, a great room opening south to a pool. A master suite is located in the northwest corner of the site, and 2-car garage and a utility room, and a small open-air pool cabana next to the pool. Second story, staircase, small den, 3 bedrooms with their own bathrooms and closets. Roof plan, which meets all the criteria. Gulfstream Road elevation, we have mostly landscaping, but we have some piers and a 4-foot wall that has the open fretwork that matches the railings on the balcony. It meets, the roof is gonna be white, the house is gonna be white, so everything's white, and then we're getting a pop of color with the shutters and the color of the shutters. Facing Middle Road. This opens up to the pool, that's why there's that much glass there, but it's hidden under the covered porch. Facing west, this is against the alley, so we've hidden everything on that side so that the street's clean. And facing the neighbor, as you can see, the 2-story structure is actually pushed back further, and then we have 1-story appendages that stick out of it. The streetscape analysis, you can see the Gold Residence, Middle Road right away. This is our house, and this is the existing 3120. And then going the other way, this is our house, the alley, and then the house on Polo, which is 3121 Polo, which actually sits higher than our house, the finished floor, which was surprising to me. Drainage, we meet all the drainage calculations, we maintain everything on site to an exfiltration trench that's on the west side of the house, and we have inverts along to make sure that none of the water runs out into the street. Survey, and this is a perspective rendering of the house, this being Gulfstream Road, this being Middle Road. We have a small parallel parking space up front for visitors because this road is so narrow, and the parking would be by the garage from this side, so they'd have to walk all the way around. And I'm here to answer any questions you may have. The parking court and the driveway are gonna be this material, so it matches up with the gray of the asphalt, so it won't stick out like a sore thumb or anything like that. And with that, I'll hand it over to Dave Bodker, the landscape
Can I
architect.
ask some questions on the,
Sure.
on the shutters? The rendering that we're looking at right now,
Yes.
looks like there's some shutters that drop down as opposed to.
Yes, there's some Bahama shutters, and then there's some Bahama shutters with some operable shutters next to it, which is typical Bermuda.
Thanks. Rita, the carve-out on Gulfstream Road for 1 or 2 cars, I know there's a house just south of that that has that. I don't know what the regulations are in the town for cutouts, lack of better terms. Do we have any?
I don't think that they're not prohibited,
Okay.
and we do have some of those.
You know, I understand because Gulfstream Road is very narrow, so it makes sense, and the parking area in back is limited, so. Thank you.
Thank you.
palms on either side to flank the walkway. And then on either side of the cutout for the parking area, for the guest parking area, we have Japanese blueberry trees here, and they'll be underplanted with ground cover there. On all four corners of the house, or the property rather, we have magnolia trees. So there's one here, there's three here, one here, and one here. So they're kind of like a cornerstone framing the property from all sides. Across the front, behind the knee wall with the fretwork, we have podocarpus hedge, and it continues and wraps around all the property here, and picks up again here, and wraps to this point there. And then, as Rusty said, we're transplanting a 6-foot-high clusia hedge that exists on the property now. And so we're relocating a portion of that here up to that point, and then picking up with it again here. So that's relocated clusia at 6 foot. In the area in between here, we are putting 6-foot podocarpus hedge. And as Rusty said, there's an access through the house that has glass. So we're proposing an orchid tree here and here so that you see that on either side of the house. There's additional underplanting underneath the orchid trees as well. Flanking the swimming pool, we're proposing either foxtail palms or date palms. Let's see. As this house has views from all sides, there's as Rusty said, the setback exceeds the requirements, so there's plenty of lawn on this side of the property as well. And outside of each one of the windows here, there's a citrus tree that was requested by the owner. There's Montgomery palms here and here, so if you see on the elevation, which is this one right here, we're screening the upper floor windows with these triple trunk Montgomery palms here and here. This is the orchid tree that I was talking about that's on axis going through the north-south axis of the home. This would be the south elevation looking from the street. So here are the foxtail palms or the date palms with the orchid tree in the middle as well. Glad to answer any questions you may have.
I have one question. Currently, there are 2 trees on the property which would be on the south side. I've always been curious what they are. They look very interesting. What are they, and it doesn't sound like they're surviving.
No, they're not. They're poinciana trees. They have big canopies, but they're low branching, and so we think that they'll split apart if we try to relocate them. And also, with the new house being located in the center of the property, the pool and so forth, there's just not room for something that large here. They're too big to get down the road to relocate to someone else's property, and then they have some structural problems that we don't think would make them worthwhile or good candidates for relocation. There is a nice frangipani tree that exists on the property, so we're going to relocate that to this location right here. One thing I want to point out is that we're putting a 6-foot-high clusia hedge, or relocating that clusia hedge along here. The alley is right here, and that alley is, 2 or 3 feet higher than this property is. And on the other side of the alley, on this residence, they have probably what is an 8 or 10-foot-high ficus hedge. So you add the 3 feet of additional elevation to that, you have a 13-foot screen between this residence and this property. So what we show here with a 6-foot-high clusia hedge, that would be if you're standing right on top of the alleyway right there. But if you were on this property right here, it would be a much higher buffer than what we're indicating on this plan, on this elevation.
Rita, was there any comments from the neighbors?
Yes, the lady on the other side of the alley, as soon as she got her notice, she called, and she wanted copies of the drawings and whatnot, and we saw that she got them, and she was concerned that she wasn't going to be here, and I understand that she did contact, I don't know if it was you or Mr. Kuby. Anyway, she was quite concerned that there be a, one of those green fences put up during construction so that that would catch any dirt or anything that might blow over onto their property. And I was told that that's normal to put that up anyway. And then she sent me an email and said that everything appeared to be okay. So that's the only comment we had.
I think it's a great house.
I think you both did a great job, and I particularly like the Tuscany, use of the Tuscany pavers and the different corals around the pool. I think it really adds some interest and dimension to the home. Any other comments?
Great improvement.
I guess that goes without saying.
I hope you're gonna cut the grass.
I'll tell the owner.
I was just getting ready to say, the grass needs to be.
I can have them cut the grass immediately, and I think they wanna get the house demolished as soon as possible, so once we get through this, I'm sure they're coming in with an application for the demolition.
Well, let's see what happens. Any motions?
Well, I guess the first one is for the demolition. I'd like a motion for the demolition permit for Reed 112 Gulfstream Road.
I'll second it.
Ms. Taylor?
Commissioner Lyons?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stanley?
Yes.
Commissioner Orthwine?
Yes.
Mayor Morgan?
Yes.
I'll make a motion to approve, recommend approval of clearing the lot to prepare for construction.
I'll second it.
Ms. Taylor?
Commissioner Lyons?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stanley?
Yes.
Commissioner Orthwine?
Yes.
Mayor Morgan?
Yes.
Someone else want
Sure. Motion to recommend approval of special exception to permit the construction of an additional 162 square feet, which exceeds the maximum permitted floor area ratio.
I'll second it.
Ms. Taylor?
Commissioner Lyons?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stanley?
Yes.
Commissioner Orthwine?
Yes.
Mayor Morgan?
Yes.
Motion to recommend approval of a level 3 architectural site plan based on a finding that the proposed construction of a Bermuda, British colonial style 2-story single-family dwelling with attached garage consisting of 4,639 square feet, with a swimming pool, pool cabana, meet the minimum intended design manual, and applicable review standards with the following conditions. Prior to the issuance of a certificate of occupancy, the owner of the property shall prepare and record a deed restriction, or shall provide that all roof projection areas shall remain unenclosed as per approval of a special exception for as long as the structure is in existence or exceeds the maximum FAR. 2, any minor modifications in existing landscaping shall be submitted to the town manager for review and approval, and any major modifications shall be brought back to the ARPB for review and approval prior to commencement of the landscaping. 3, prior to the shutters being installed, a full-scale example showing each color shall be presented and available to the board. 4, the fence on the south side shall be moved back to a distance of 7.5 feet from the edge of the pavement on Middle Road.
Second?
Ms. Taylor?
Commissioner Lyons?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stanley?
Yes.
Commissioner Orthwine?
Yes.
Mayor Morgan?
Yes. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Rusty. Dave, good seeing you again.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's nice. I like it a lot. Let's move on to the reports. Town manager, underground.
Thank you, Mayor. As of today, the FPNL, they actually, Wilco was able to put in a new transformer down at the Little Club. Did you see that had happened for Stanley?
Yeah, it looked like something was happening finally down there.
Yeah, it finally was happening. So they have replaced that, taken out the old one that I'm surprised was still working, but it's gone, and so they have a new transformer down there. They have probably about a week's worth of work to do conversions of condos on the east side of A1A, north of C Road, and then a couple of buildings on County Road, and then they will be done. Again, Comcast and AT&T were reluctant to start before before they were completely done. So Danny and I have a meeting with Comcast and AT&T next week to identify a start date and also to try to convince them to work simultaneously. Because they did do some simultaneous work on phase one, so I'm told. Not the whole thing, but they ended up working at the same time, so we're going to try to convince them to do that for phase two.
Yeah, what's the length of time that they propose to complete their parts of the project?
Well, I mean, if they were to do them, separately, it would probably be a year.
I mean, okay?
Sounds like they could get started a little.
That's right.
Yeah, anyway, no, I know the difficulty of trying to get them.
It
So,
is very difficult.
On that subject,
And if it makes you feel any better, I mean, our issues are not nearly the issues that the town of Palm Beach is having. I mean, I get calls regularly from them. As a matter of fact, Comcast is, they're talking about not even putting their services underground at this point. So, I mean, we don't have those issues going on, so we should be grateful for that. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I mean, I don't know, are there any levers that we can pull to create incentives, disincentives? I mean, I appreciate that it appears that we don't have any levers, but publicly, I'd like to at least talk about it and see, is there anything we can do other than just wait on them to get it done?
well, we withheld money from them. That was different from last time. We did not prepay.
Great.
We also have counsel online that we used previously to put pressure on them. We will do so again if they continue to drag their feet.
I mean, there's always the Public Service Commission,
Yeah.
but they don't even seem to be too disturbed about those kinds of.
Exactly. And there's questions of the jurisdiction of that commission. And regulatory authorities over these companies. So, no, you can rest assured that we put whatever pressure we can on. So, we'll get them going as quickly as we can.
Well, I guess the good news is the town manager decided, I don't know a lot about it, but my sense is that many of these companies are adopting a business model which is gonna be all wireless, and they're not gonna have cable. And so, as you said, Comcast, in a lot of their markets, just, they're not doing wire anymore, fiber or cable, so I guess we're lucky they're gonna even put it in, so.
But it is good that the commission did approve Comcast to work in their air-conditioned confines past 5 o'clock. Literally, Chief, we had, Comcast was over here doing some work at the police department, and they literally take thousands of these glass fibers and have to kind of weld them together individually. Yeah, they're all color-coded, and so it's got to be in a very sterile environment, and so that's what they'll be doing in those trucks. So, but it's very, I wouldn't want to do it, it's very tedious work.
Well, we'll continue to move forward on it.
Yes.
And it will be done at some point.
Okay, the drainage structure update at 3140, we have begun the work, and doing the best to stay away from the expensive structures that they're having to work next to there in at that lot. We anticipate them working on the street as early as tomorrow, that they might start that. It could be Monday or Tuesday, but our plan is to close the street while they do that, because they are going all the way across the street, putting 2 catch basins in. And so, but we're moving forward with that on a timely basis. And we're getting nice cooperation from 3140 in terms of using their lot for, rock and parking and
When's that projected to be completed?
I'm saying probably 2 weeks,
Okay, yeah, that's moving along rapidly.
yes.
Terrific. And the budget update?
Yes.
Mr. Don?
So, at the last meeting, the commission did, with respect to the health insurance discussion that we had, directed the staff to, come back with some alternatives. And so, and the staff has been working on that, and we do have some, but we continue working on alternatives as we speak. And so my suggestion is that we defer this for 1 year and talk about this in the 1920 budget. And so, our goal would be to develop recommendations that would, keep Gulfstream competitive in the hiring process, and develop goals that would be equitable for all of our employees and affordable for the town. So I just want the commission to know that, we do recognize that we do have to plan for the future when we're looking at, wages and insurance and benefits for our employees. And we'll be doing that all year. And my goal is to probably throughout the year, as we work on these, is to meet with each one of you individually. So we'll have enough time to come back in the next budget with some good recommendations.
Very good.
Can I make an observation?
Sure.
I find this subject very complex, having been involved with small businesses, private clubs, etc. So many permutations about compensation, fringe benefits, and you can model God knows how many different scenarios. So I've seen a lot of organizations that are smaller, like a town that has 20 employees, it's 20, right?
20.
Considering using consultants to really get their hands around a subject that has become so complex, and what's going to happen in the future, particularly with healthcare. So I think that if you're going to take the time to study, I think that's a resource that you ought to seriously consider. So.
Okay, any other comments? If not, let's move on. The ARPB meeting, there is no August meeting. The next meeting will be September 27th, for anyone who wishes to attend. Finance report, Mr. Down.
Yes, in your package, you have the balance sheet and cash and budget report. As of July 31, 2018, this represents 10 months of our fiscal year budget, and there is nothing unusual in this to point out unless you have some questions to ask about it.
Any questions on? And water usage as well?
Yes, sir. The same.
Questions? If not, thank you very much. Chief Allen, activity report?
I request the activity report be accepted as submitted, no additions at this time.
Any questions of Chief? Not, we'll accept that as submitted. And we move on to the ordinance number 18/4.
This is an ordinance of the Town Commission, the Town of Gulfstream, Palm Beach County, Florida, eliminating references to items categorized as discouraged and declaring them prohibited by amending the Town Code of Ordinances at Chapter 66, Zoning, Article 5, Site Plans, Division 2, Architectural Site Plan Review, Levels 1, 2, and 3, Section 66, 141, Applicability, amending Chapter 70, Gulfstream Design Manual, Article 1, in general, at Section 70-4, how to use this manual, amending Chapter 70, Article 5, area-wide standards, Division 1, general architectural standards, Section 70-97, architectural style, 70-98, building form, 70-99, roof design, slope and materials, 70-100, roof and eave heights, 70-101, windows, 70-102, shutters and awnings, 70-103, entrances, 70-104, exterior materials, 70-105, garages and accessory buildings, 70-106, color, 70-107, additions and rehabilitations and replacement of the existing features, amending Chapter 70, Article 5, Division 2, Special Exception, Architectural Standards, Section 7126, additions and rehabilitations incorporating a prohibited design element that is an integral part of the design of the existing structure, amending Chapter 70, Article 5, Division 3, General Landscape Standards, Section 7148, Principles, amending Chapter 70, Article 5, Division 4, General Outdoor Lighting Standards, Section 7169, Standards, amending Chapter 70, Article 6, District Standards, Section 7187, Table of District Standards, amending Chapter 70, Article 7, Predominant Architectural Styles, Division 2, Spanish Mediterranean Revival Style Architectural Standards, Section 70-217, Building Form, 7218, Roofs, 7219, Windows, 7220, Entrances, 7221, Exterior Materials, Colors, 7222, Garages, Accessory Buildings, amending Chapter 70, Article 7, Division 3, Gulfstream Bermuda Style Sections, 7237, Building Form, 7238, Roofs, 7239, Windows, 7240, Shutters, 7241, Entrances, 7242, Exterior Materials, Colors, 7244, Garages, Accessory Buildings, amending Chapter 70, Article 8, Supplemental Development Regulations, Section 7266, Television Antennas, Satellite Dishes, 7267, Mechanical Equipment, 7268, Front Yard Accoutrements, 7260, Mailboxes, amending Chapter 70, Article 9, Appendix, Section 7297, Development Review Process, amending Chapter 71, Gulfstream Design Manual, RM West and RM East, Multiple Family Residential Districts, Section 70-7, Multiple Family Residential Design Guidelines,
Sorry, 71-7.
71-7, sorry. Multiple families, these residential design guidelines, providing for severability, providing for repeal of ordinances in conflict, providing for codification, providing an effective date, presented for first reading this 10th day of August 2018.
Comments?
You can go home now.
Thank you.
Well done.
Well done.
Any questions, comments? I think compliments are due to staff and to the ARPB for putting a lot of work, a lot of time into the changes encompassed in ordinance 18/4. If there are no other comments, we've heard it read on first reading. Is there a motion to approve first reading ordinance number 18/4?
I'll move to approve ordinance 18-4.
Second?
Ms. Taylor?
Commissioner Lyons?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stanley?
Yes.
Commissioner Rothwine? Mayor Morgan?
Yes. Any items by commission?
Well, I have a question about the house on Polo, where you're doing the drainage. When is that gonna get completed?
I'm thinking in about 2 weeks.
No, the house
The
itself,
house.
not the drainage.
Oh, the house.
You know, I'm just thinking about people coming back in October, November, and I'm walking down the street. First question's gonna be the underground, the second's gonna be, what's going on with that house? Have you noticed any change, by the way?
Well, it seems like there's 3 or 4 cars there where there used to be maybe 1. So in the last 10 days or so, I would say that there's been, I won't say significant, but there's been a slight improvement of at least the number of people that are there trying to do something. Haven't seen much, except it now has shutters, now has outside lights, but as far as anything else, I haven't, it doesn't look like there's any more work been done in the last week than there's been in the last 2 months, but that's just walking by with the dog, that's all I can tell you.
So, you know, in terms of other business, we had briefly, I believe, discussed the possibility, and Fred, you looked into regarding some kind of permitting that said if you had a certain window to get it done, if you didn't get it done, then it.
Basically square footage.
And I'm just wondering whether, you know, we really need to consider that further. You mentioned to me yesterday that house is taking so long, they have to clean the roof already. They haven't moved in.
They're
And,
going,
you know,
they're going to need to repaint it and clean the roof.
And for people who live across the street, people live next to them, people walk, you know, it's just,
That's under consideration, is it not? We've been looking into.
Based on the square foot calculations, this house is about within the time that it would normally take on average. I think that it's, you know, there are two houses next to each other, it just maybe seems like it's impacting, making a bigger impact or drawing out just because of the scope of the construction perhaps. You know, certainly I can go ahead and pursue that further, but at the last commission meeting where this was addressed, I believe the consensus was because, you know, I guess the suggestion was maybe not to create an ordinance to deal with maybe one or two random projects over, you know, a 5 or 10 year period that would fall with, you know, outside of that window. Certainly we would have some additional leverage in pushing them along, but, you know, you're creating an ordinance to deal with just a very small, you know, percentage of the construction projects in town.
well, I hear what you're saying, and I'm always opposed to dealing with the few. I experienced that in the military. Some regulations that you would have thought most adults were totally unnecessary, but they were there. And you would think that most people who build homes would be a little more courteous to their neighbors. But, well, it's only a few, and impacts a lot of people. And I think this is the third winter. Do you recall? It's, maybe I'm alone on the subject, but I hear a lot of complaints about it.
Oh, no, I do
24 months.
too. You know, they keep saying, isn't there something you can do? I mean, I hear a lot of complaints, but, I mean, it's unfortunate that they won't get it done.
But the reason it's not done isn't because they couldn't get the labor or parts. It's because the person who owns it is
Right.
taking as much time as they choose.
So
And
many-
actually
so many
Seaside, I've
changes.
talked to them, I mean, it's not
No,
Seaside.
it's not.
It's
I mean,
not
they're as frustrated as we are, actually.
It's the people who own the house keep changing their mind from what I gather. Or something along that line.
I think you're correct.
Because, I talked to Tom Ladonna. Just saying, can't you finish this thing? Because it's not us. So, I don't know how we deal, I mean,
Well, doesn't Palm Beach have some ordinance?
They do. I mean,
That's the one based on the square footage that
That's right.
calculates.
And so,
But even under that square footage analysis, if you were to adopt theirs, this home is
It's-
They
still,
get about
That's
2.5
right.
years on their
Yeah.
model ordinance.
yeah.
Yeah.
That house is what, 11,000?
it's been so long, we all forgot.
It was redesigned once.
But it's, you know, it's near 10,
They
little
allow-
short of it, a little.
Yeah, I mean, a rule of thumb, if it's, you know, 10,000 square feet, which is the size of a luxury home thing on lot size here, it's 24 months. So you're probably a little bit over that. I mean, hopefully
And remember-
we're not on 30 months, but yeah.
Also, under the changes that the ARP and this commission have adopted, it's unlikely that house would have be built again. I question whether that house could pass muster because of the neighborhood district matters that we now take into account in approving such homes.
Just getting on this, I mean, have you talked to the owners about getting it done? I mean, do they understand the neighbors are frustrated with it? I think, you know, that would be a first step with this, because this is.
I think I can, I feel comfortable now reaching out to Mr. Catiopo, about that. So.
Yeah, but I think it's
And
important.
you know what, and really, I kind of talked to him through Joey, the construction manager over there. I'm
Okay.
sure you've talked to him quite a bit, that he's very frustrated. And, he tells me that Mr. Cacioppo is very concerned about how long it's taken, and, he just wants to get it done. His
that they start, taking down the fence, putting in the landscaping, I don't know how that would interfere with, nothing's gonna happen to landscaping. At least they could at least consider that. In fact, they have trucks in their driveway working inside. I mean, that's not.
I mean, we can, I'll ask all of you, I mean, if you would prefer that we tell them to take that green fence down, because I think that green fence was, it was before me, but I think that was a condition of approval, wasn't it, Rita?
I believe so.
That we put the green fence up.
But the green
So-
fence comes down, the landscaping
Has to
gets
go in.
installed.
Yeah.
I don't wanna,
Yeah, well, certainly the landscaping is gonna be the last thing that they do, so, I mean,
But maybe they'd
Why?
be agreeable, I agree with Paul, maybe they'd be agreeable since most of the bulk of the outside's done. I mean, the roof's been on, it's been painted, maybe they take the fence down and put the landscaping, it sure is going to be a lot nicer looking than seeing that green fence.
I'll definitely have the conversation with them.
But
And
also-
I can instruct them to take the fence down. I mean,
Well,
they
not
can-
about
but
the
only if
landscaping,
The landscaping goes.
Okay,
but also I think, the feeling of the neighborhood too, to make it, that everyone's tired of
well,
dealing with it.
and part of the problem too is that, when you have no landscaping, any kind of wind, all that stuff blows all over the place.
Yeah,
So it's time, in my opinion. And I'm not trying to be difficult, truly, but, you balance one household versus all the others, and, I think there's an imbalance here.
No, it's a very good point, particularly since the exterior is completed, I think it's been completed for quite some time. And I don't see why they couldn't proceed with the
And,
landscaping and work inside.
yeah, actually, once we get our, structure in, perhaps that's gonna help them, because obviously they didn't wanna do any landscaping
Well,
on
we
that
have to
side
get
of
it
the
done. Yes.
So, mind you, I'm well aware of that, so, I'm hoping that as soon as we get that done, then that can hasten their, work on the landscaping, at least on the south side.
Maybe you could use that as, by the way, we just finished, we're done, we're not coming back, and maybe it's a good time for you to.
Sure.
Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. Why don't we- I'll be happy to meet with them, with you, and we can talk to them about it.
Okay.
I don't see why they couldn't begin the process of organizing the exterior landscaping while we're completing.
Because at this point in time, they can utilize the driveways on the other house. I think they try to keep from doing that so the oil doesn't drip on them and that sort of thing. But they can put plywood down.
Let's do that, let's set the meeting,
Yeah.
you and me and Mr. Ketchel.
Thank you.
Okay, any other comments? I'd like to note the passing of Scott Tiernan, long-term resident of Gulfstream, passed away on July 27th. Scott was a larger-than-life personality for those who knew him, former partner at Allman Tiernan and Ely, now Corcoran Group. Scott was just an adventurer, a guy with a big smile, a big heart, one who took over the room when he walked in. And we give our condolences. We sent them to Linda Stokes, his mother, to Marty Ely, his sister, both of Gulfstream, Michael Tiernan,